Controversial football opinions. You've asked me to do this a load of times. I thought I never upload midweek and other channels are doing well and mine's not. So let's do this to try and clickbait in some views. Let's go. Number 1, Pele was a fraud and is overrated. Well, maybe not a fraud, the title's going to say fraud because now you've clicked, but definitely overrated. Always labelled as one of the best of all time, most people consider him the best of all time, and I'm here to debunk that. He lied about his total goals, which are, you know, sign of insecurity, weak mentality, massive L, chief. Said he had 1,283 goals, but the actual figure was about 40% less than that because he counted goals in exhibition matches against like coast guards, lifeguards and generic people because Pele was such a marketing machine back in the time. People used to actually pay to go and watch him against like Sunday League standard teams. They were very good at marketing him, Santos were, so Santos would send him around the globe, get people to pay big money to go see Pele because they dubbed him as the best in the world. But in actual fact, the Brazilian consensus was that Garrincha was probably the better player at the time, so you know, tasty. He did, however, score 757 goals in 812 games. I was clearly looking at my phone there because I have the brain of a peanut. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's nearly a goal a game, which for 812 games, that is absolutely mental. But when you consider the fact that the Santos team was absolutely stacked and were putting up like 8+ goal differentials against against horrible teams, Pele was obviously going to get a large chunk of goals if he was playing as a striker or a centre forward for the team. So you have to consider that fact. It's like, say, Messi or Ronaldo went over to, I don't know, the Paraguayan league and started banging in goals to StatPad. It's not as impressive, is it? Also, people talk about Pele as the best of all time, but I think that's redundant because you think of the time he played football. I'm not saying there weren't some very good footballers, but the standard of football was obviously worse. They weren't athletes. There wasn't as much money in games in youth development, funding, statistical analysis, all of the obvious things. So it wasn't obvious to you that Pele isn't the best of all time. I feel like people have been told it from their granddads, their dads. They just fed it down, and it's like a generational thing. Well, oh, Pele was the best at football. But you've actually looked at it, like, logically, he wasn't. And he also played in, like I said, a worse time where now the game is much harder, there's much more money put into it, people are trained much harder, which makes the standard of players much better. So yes, he was potentially the best of his time, but definitely not the best of all time. Sass, can't click. Mental. Number 2, I don't agree with support your local. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can tell most of my subscribers are going to kill me now. Right, hear me out. I mean, it's not really a shock considering I'm the guy that goes around the country and videos himself at a different football team every week, is it, you know? But I don't agree with support your local. Shock. I didn't think it was that shocking. Yeah, so I see loads of people on Twitter saying if you don't support your local team, you're weird and whatnot. I think you support whoever you want. If you have passion about it, don't let anyone else try and ruin that for you. You can support whatever team you want. The thing about football is, it is completely subjective and you can do with that whatever you please. So if you support a team that's in a different country, supporter, then you can do what you want with it and you should ignore people about it. What I do think is people that go to their team each week, week in, week out, and pay the money to do so can consider themselves superior fans if you've got no prior commitments. So some people can't go to games because of family and everything like that, and that's fair enough too. And also support your local. Just on a tangent here, people inherit the teams they support from their parents a lot of the time. So if their parent didn't support their local team, are they then supposed to get to a certain age and ditch that team? Because, you know, what is the consensus on that? Because I did that. If you're going up and down the country to watch your team week in, week out, compared to someone who could do the same thing but chooses not to, then I agree that you can consider yourself a far superior fan. But if you've got, some people have like lives and like work to do on a Saturday and, you know, they can't get to different games, so it's a hard one. But I don't agree with that support your local if you're not a proper football fan, because that's just our awkward way to deal with it. Football's the world's game for a reason. People from around the world can support what they want. Unless it's Manchester United, then you're wrong. That was a joke. I actually dislike Chelsea more, so kill me for that too. Third one, I like the MLS. I know it's like not really a controversial opinion, especially for everyone who is a gambling addict watching this. I know you like the MLS because it's easy to gamble on. Well, it's not easy to gamble on. You like to gamble, you're up late, the MLS is on. That's how I started liking the MLS, and then I realised gambling is wrong, so I stopped doing that. Deep. But yeah, I like the MLS. A lot of money in MLS is actually put towards defenders, but it's not done very wisely. So the defences in MLS are usually absolutely abysmal, paired with some actually great strikers, like in previous years you had David Villa, Giovinco has left the league now, Joseph Martinez, even Don Dwyer was prolific, Bradley Wright-Phillips, all these good strikers and good forwards in the league, Zlatan. But anyway, so there's going to be some fun games. You get people like Miguel Almiron, who has now come to Newcastle and shown that he is the real deal. And there's these really good players and attacking-minded players against these really horrible defenders. Not horrible defenders, but you know what I mean, not up to the standard. So it's like League 2, League 1 quality defenders against Premiership quality attackers. something's got to give, and then it makes for fun games. A lot of which somehow end up 0-0, so I don't know. But it's incredibly fun. When I watch an MLS game, I always get the feeling that anyone can beat anyone. Like the other day I was watching Orlando and they beat New York Red Bulls, which was a shock. Orlando defended most of the game, then they won 1-0. So anything can happen in that league, and I like to watch it for that reason. My fourth and final controversial opinion for this video is that Real Madrid fans are the worst in the world. Before we get into this final point about Real Madrid, if you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like. If you hit like 400 likes, I'll do another one of these next week, because there's not really anything I can upload in the midweek, because I've sort of shoehorned myself into being called away days now, and this video will do badly because it's not called away days. So what am I supposed to do? You know, if you liked it, we'll do another one. Real Madrid fans are the worst in the world for supporting their team. Gareth Bale has won 4 Champions Leagues at the club. He would be a god any other club in the world, and he still gets booed, he gets his car attacked when he leaves the training ground, and it is ridiculous. So, other things as well. They get knocked out of the Champions League, they sack their manager, which I know they're a business. They're not really a football club, Real Madrid aren't. They're a business, essentially. I know loads of clubs, every football club essentially is a business, but with them, it's so much easier to see. Like the Galacticos, it was a marketing ploy. They get knocked out of the Champions League, their fans revolt. They act like it's the biggest breakdown in the world. Like, you saw fans crying when they got knocked out by Ajax. Like, you are just out of touch with reality, mate. Like, you are so high up on the ladder. Like, I've been to watch teams that on this channel that no longer exist, and their fans don't have a team to support. So how does that work? They don't have a team to support anymore, but you're going to cry because you lost to Ajax, because your players who are paid ridiculous amount of money didn't do well in your ridiculously expensive seat. And I'm not saying Real Madrid don't have real fans. Of course they don't. Like, the Real Madrid-Barcelona rivalry, I think, is very genuine, and of course there is proper Real Madrid fans. And if you're in Spain, a lot of the onus is on them 2 clubs, so that is going to be naturally where you're lent towards as a child. Marketing, everything around it is centered around this one derby, so I understand that. But personally, not a fan of them, and I think a lot of people in the comments will agree with me. Leave a comment on what you thought of each of my opinions, and leave your own controversial opinions if we're going to do a part 2 of this. I want to know your controversial opinions, or opinions that you don't even think are controversial. If I could say that word properly, that would be ideal. Just leave your football-based opinions, and I will look to nab them and make a video for myself, so I can aim to grow this channel, which is being outclassed by every other channel in the space. Bye.